and guts match in your mind? That is the question. I thought the parlay between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle was wonderful. I thought that was such a good promo segment. Both sides. I thought all the guys were solid. Even Sean Spears, that was probably the best promo he's cut in like 10 years.
Yeah. I also like how they definitely started to pair off the two factions.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the top guy of each faction going, sort of head to head with the other top guy. The, let's call them mid-carders going head to head. The tag teams going heads to heads. And then the muscle going up against the muscle.
And not saying anything. Both of them.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, this has kind of been a running thing. Are they going to this too early? It's been, 6-7 weeks since MJF turned on the Inner Circle and formed the Pinnacle. It hasn't been that long. Are they going to such a... what would normally be a blow-off match, end of the feud type of deal way too early? Or is this the right path to take going into this match now and just not letting it possibly get stale and die on the vine when they have this hot angle already? You might as well just go for it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. And I'm glad they actually, clarified the rules on the air instead of just people speculating based off of things that were put up a year ago when they originally announced that there was going to be a blood and guts. But yeah, it does seem like one of those sort of, big blow off sort of matches that is really the first confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that if this becomes a recurring match stipulation, that AEW doesn't wind up doing what other promotions have done, and it's not just one other promotion, of having a named show or a named pay-per-view, and then they sort of have to make storylines fit that stipulation.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that. I mean, one, we've only had a single cage match in the history of AEW. So they aren't going to a lot of these things very often. The one thing that they are doing probably more often is battle royales, and ladder matches have happened more than really any other kind of gimmicky match, if you will.
Yeah, and, a battle royale or a battle royal or, whatever you want to call it, it's a good way to get a lot of guys on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And it also allows feuds to start. It can, wind up creating different storylines. The QT Marshall storyline, kind of, I don't know if I want to say necessarily got its start in the last Battle Royal, where, what was it? QT eliminated Dustin?
No, QT just bailed on Dustin. He eliminated somebody from the Gun Club, and Dustin was mad about it. And then QT just bailed and eliminated himself and left Dustin.
Yeah. I remember that there was some kind of something that happened, but that sort of made that storyline go a little further. Wait a second, what's actually going on now?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm less you know, I don't want to say upset, but like I am okay with battle royals being gimmicky matches and being used more often. Ladder matches can be overused, especially if you look back at like the history of the ladder match, where it was really just a way of settling a feud between two people that claim the same title.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and now you rarely see. Well, we have seen it actually in AEW, but I think the format works better as that, 6 guy going after a title, a sure title shot after they win the match. I like that format with the 6-man. That seems to work out. One-on-one ladder matches, you have to be very good to do them to make them work. But of course, and in tag team ladder matches, I think those are probably the easiest to work and get good and have them be good. But I've liked what they've been doing. I like how they've had at they've been doing it at Double or Nothing. They've had like the ladder match to get the title shot somewhat, in the next few weeks or something. So I think that's a good thing to go.
Chip.
Yeah.
Get the poker chip, get the, whatever the gimmick is hanging over the ring.
I think what they should do is that Double or Nothing, that ladder match is for the title shot at All Out. So it gives them that 3-month build instead of them working just towards in 4 weeks on Dynamite or something. I think that would give them a better build. But anyway, we are way off topic here. Back to the Blood and Guts match. I don't think they're going to be doing a gimmicky thing. Where do they go after the Blood and Guts match is going to be the question. Are they going to kind of work this feud backwards? They're going to have the Blood and Guts match first, and then we're going to have some of the blood feud pair-offs of the tag teams going against each other, the Muscle going against each other. It seems Sammy and Sean want to have some sort of dealings with each other here, and then we end up with Jericho MJF round 2 at some point. I'm curious how they work that, and if they end up working it basically this feud backwards a little bit. And then there's going to be some... I'm guessing maybe we have this big match here. We have the matches of the tag team and then the 2 underlings, and then the match between MJF and Jericho is something huge again. I don't know.
Yeah, and I could even see, 4 different 3-on-3 pairings,
mm-hmm.
where you have Santana, Ortiz, and Sammy, or Santana, Ortiz, and Hager versus FTR and Wardlow, or FTR and Shawn Spears.
Yep.
And you don't even have to get Jericho and MJF involved in those trios matches.
Mm-hmm.
But that these guys are basically the proxy for Jericho or MJF.
Yeah, and then you're still open to the 6-man of basically the non-tag team 6-man. So you could have Jericho, Sammy, Hager versus MJF, Wardlow, Spears, and have those kind of matches. So there's a lot of ways they can go. I'm just curious how they work it, because this is, you would think the Blood and Guts match is the end of a feud type of match, but they are using it kind of at the beginning. So it opens up a lot of possibilities. AEW has plenty of goodwill at this point, so I don't think they're gonna totally screw it up. I'm not gonna say it's crap before it's happened, so I think we'll probably be okay, but I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they wind up doing.
All right, so let's start it off here. You are listening or watching to the That's Wrestling podcast. If you are listening to this as a podcast, we do this show live on YouTube and on Twitch. So head over to those channels. You can find the links in the show notes, and you can subscribe or follow, whatever that platform's subscribe is or whatever. Comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to Eric at that'swrestling.com. Follow us on Twitter at that'swrestling1 with the number 1 at the end. Head over to your favorite podcast app, drop us a review. There is a Discord as well in the show notes, so you can come hang out there as well. And tonight I have back Darryl W. Perry. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. The semester is almost over. I had my critique/reviews in my 2 ceramics classes over the last 2 days, and do the same in my drawing class on Monday and Wednesday of next week.
Fun. All right, so let's get into this show, and they kicked it off with Adam Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Lots of rhyming names is going to get confusing when we have Cage and Page and Page. I'm sure that match has got to happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
Team Taz attacks Hangman from behind as he's coming out, and they beat him down.
Right as his lower third popped up, saying was jumped by a high schooler.
Okay, I don't get that. Is this
me either?
I don't know if
either.
Yeah,
but like as soon as it popped up, he gets jumped from behind.
So I guess if it was Hook, Hook is the closest to a high schooler because he's like 19.
Hey, maybe Brian Cage never graduated and is enrolled in night classes. We don't know.
Could be. Anyways, Dark Order run out. They brawl with Team Taz, and Dark Order and Team Taz disappear to the back as Brian Cage is giving Hangman a power bomb on the stage extension next to the ring. The match still hasn't started at this point. Taz is on commentary, putting over his guys, of course, and deriding.
Hey,
yeah,
the bell hasn't rung. My guys did nothing wrong.
Yes, yeah, and deriding Dark Order for getting involved. The ref does ask Hangman if he does want to start the match. He is just like sitting over in the corner, and Hangman's like, "Yep, okay." He's still sitting in the corner when the bell rings, and Cage just continues the beatdown. He throws Hangman around, tossing him around on the outside and the barricade a bunch of times. Cage drops Hangman in the ring, goes for a standing moonsault. Hangman gets his knees up, but gets nothing going since Cage just comes straight back with more offense. And we have Brian Cage catching Hangman as he did a crossbody over the top rope to the floor. But Hangman pushes Brian Cage into the post, hits the moonsault off the top to the floor. And then we get back into the ring. Paige goes for a buckshot, but Brian Cage just picks him up. He gives him F5, a power bomb, a buckle bomb, and the drill claw, and gets the victory. This was almost a squash of Hangman by Brian Cage. He just beat the living shit out of Adam Page, and he probably took 95% of the match.
I counted 2 offensive moves by Hangman.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't much.
One of them was the pushing Cage into the turn or the post, and the other was the moonsault.
Yeah, that was about it. The other was just like, and he got his knees up to stop a standing moonsault.
That's not even an offensive move.
I know, that's a defensive move right there.
Yeah.
So,
and I loved the way that Brian Cage was able to, should we say, he countered the buckshot because he just ducked and lifted Hangman up.
Mm-hmm.
and then hit him with the F5. Like, it was just seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Duck, pick up, F5, 2 count, power bomb, buckle bomb, drill claw, it's over.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to go down this way, and I'm curious where they're going to go with this. I think I like that they did this, because a lot of it's like, okay, Hangman is sitting at the top of the rankings, but it's too early for him to fight Kenny Omega. So what do they do to extend it out so Hangman is not getting a title match too soon? And this is kind of the way to do it. I obviously they beat the crap out of him before the match even started, so we have that out there that he was already, basically wrecked before even coming into this match. So it saves him on that level. It bumps him down a peg on the rankings to keep him away from Kenny Omega. Brian Cage finally gets a win for Team Taz here, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with Cage going forward. Are they going to start building up Brian Cage? And then what do they do with Hangman to keep him relevant and not completely destroy him? Do we see him take do we see him head down the path that he was down, the depressed path that he was down earlier, just to give it a little more legs? Yeah, I don't think so either, but it's a possibility.
I don't think so. So here's my prediction. So I'm looking at the records and rankings. Singles so far this year, Brian Cage is now 4-1. So I suspect he'll wind up in the top 5 of the rankings next week. Because two of the people in the top 5 lost this week. We'll touch on who the other one is later. Mm-hmm. Darby Allin has been challenging, like somebody in the top 5 gets a match, like, I guess first one to sign the sign-up sheet. I don't know how it works on that. But they said, like, he's defended the TNT title now as many times as Cody, I believe. So I could see Hangman challenging Darby and sort of, dropping to the mid-card, quote unquote, if you will, to sort of keep him relevant and not have to go down that, drunken path that he was on.
Yeah.
Or they could wind up, going down there, and then, like, the Dark Order's like, hey, man, like, you really need to figure things out for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different routes they can take, and we'll stick through to see what happens. Next up, we have the Elite are in a limo, and Dawn is talking about how the Elite always get the gold. Kenny now is also the Impact champion, as well as the AAA and AEW champion. So he is starting to collect the belts. And
he's got 4 belts, because the Impact title also comes with the old TNA heavyweight title that Moose sort of brought out of retirement as like an unofficial title until I think Impact was finally, we'll sort of, like, sanction this. He lost that to Rich Swann in that, they had a title versus title. And then Rich Swann had the match with Kenny over the weekend.
Yeah, that was supposed to be like a unification match, but, unifications take forever for them to actually get rid of the 2 belts.
Yeah.
So he has that. Kenny then is saying that he is pissed off about last week, Moxley and Kingston, trying to take them out, trying to intimidate them, trying to scare them. But you know what? I'm not scared. We're not scared. And they're all going along talking about that. And then there's a car horn sounds and they all freak out. And I saw some water fly. I don't know who was carrying a bottle of water, but somebody was holding a bottle of water and it flew. And the window comes down to the driver's section. It's Michael Nakazawa in the front. He says he hit the wrong button. And they play it off like nothing happened. And Kenny basically then puts Nakazawa up for sacrifice against Kingston.
Yeah, and actually, one of my favorite parts of this is when, at the very beginning of the segment, Don Callis sort of berating Carl Anderson for not wearing pants. Your ass is going to stick to the leather.
Yeah, that's a thing that he does on BTE a lot. He always hikes up he always has like short shorts on or something like that. That's kind of been a running thing. And as far as just talk about BTE, nothing of substance happened on BTE this week, so if people missed it, you didn't miss anything of substance. So,
and I think Kenny also said something about being pissed that their trailer was destroyed.
Yeah. Next up, we had Mike and Matt Seidel versus the Young Bucks, and if the Seidels win, they get a title shot against the Bucks. So it's a regular 20-minute time limit TV match, but if they get the win, then they get a title shot. Don Callis is on commentary for this. The Bucks are coming out in new gear once again. Some fur-lined stuff. They got, instead of the air cannons of the paper money, they got streamers in the ring with the air cannons from that. So did they do that last week? I didn't really notice.
I don't remember.
I don't either. But they have basically their new entrance here. They start off the match. The Seidels actually get the upper hand early until a blind tag from Nick to Matt Jackson.
Well, but before the match, because they had the streamers, they had to have, I think it was Nakazawa and Cutler, who were dressed up as young boys that even had jackets that said young boy on the back.
That was the one thing that happened on BTE. That was the one thing that happened on BTE. The Bucks had the training jacket, or the tracksuit jacket that had the Elite printed on it, but it was folded, and when they gave it over to Brandon Cutler, and he's like, oh, really? I get an Elite jacket? And he put it on, not seeing the back. He puts it on and he turns and it shows the camera Young Boy is written on the back of it. That was the one thing that happened on BT. So they had to clean out all the streamers and whatnot, as you said. Anyway, Seidels get the upper hand. Matt Jackson gets a blind tag, gives Mike Seidel a super kick. Lots of gloating and just showing off from both Nick and Matt. We see it from Nick. I think the Bucks are out egoing Ethan Page at this point.
Yeah.
He on Mike Seidel through the commercial break, and then coming back from commercial, both Nick and Mike are down. We don't see what happened because they had cut the commercial. They cut the picture-in-picture into a regular full commercial. So we're not sure what happened, but Nick and Mike Seidel are face down in the middle of the ring. The ref is dealing with Matt Seidel on the outside, and he's talking to him, and he has his back turned. Matt Jackson jumps in, rolls Nick out of the ring, and takes his place face down. And when he stands up, the ref, just lets it go. He has a look on his face like, wasn't Nick the one in here? Where did you come from? But, he just lets it go. They don't look it's not like they're twins. They don't look anything alike at all.
Yeah, but they were doing the twin magic, or what the Killer Bees back in the 80s used to do, masked confusion,
Mm-hmm.
where they just like swap out. And I forget which tag team it was that did a thing similar to that. There was a really funny thing in one of the shows where like the primary guy was injured, so they had somebody completely different. I'm forgetting who it was, but it was a black guy that replaced him. So completely different skin color.
That's funny.
And they pull the thing, and the ref just acts like he doesn't notice.
I don't know that match, but I could see that happening at some point. It sounds funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the ref just lets it go, but we end up seeing a double Meteora off the top from the Seidels to Matt Jackson, so that was pretty cool. Matt Seidel hits a double Rana on both of the Bucks. Matt Jackson slips out from underneath Matt Seidel while he's up on the top turnbuckles. When Matt jumped to do a Rana off the top, Matt Jackson slipped out from underneath. Seidel goes crashing down. Mike gets tagged in. Matt Jackson, behind the ref's back, just drops to his knees, punches Mike Seidel in the dick, and then BTE trigger from the Bucks to get the win.
But the BTE trigger came several seconds after Matt held the pose and looked straight at the camera, and I didn't pay attention to try to read his lips to see exactly what he said, but like he's definitely gloating.
Yep.
Seidel falls down, and then
So if there's any question, they're very heel at this point. So finally took a path. They are way over the top heel at this point. They might want to pull it back just a touch. It seems like a little too much at this point.
Yeah.
A little over the edge. But other than that, this match was fine. Some cool spots from the Seidels. Of course, Matt Seidel is really good. I haven't seen a ton from Mike, but Mike seems pretty decent as well.
Yeah, I did notice when they went for the double Meteora that Mike was having a little bit of trouble lifting himself up onto the second ring, or the second rope, to jump off. But other than that, yeah, he's not a bad wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Post-match, Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels come out. Frankie saying, they're the number one contenders, but the Bucks have changed, but it doesn't really matter. Daniels says he's a bit mad because he was looking forward to facing his friends for the titles, but now he just sees a couple of entitled bitches, and they're going to take the titles from them and make this company a better place without you assholes in it.
Yeah.
So is he implying that if they take the belts that the Young Bucks will no longer be in AEW?
I
think it was just a misspeak.
Yeah. So I pulled up to find the reference that I had made earlier, where Special Delivery Jones filled in for one of the Killer Bees.
Got it.
In a match against Demolition.
In what promotion? In WWF?
Yeah. House show in 87.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so, Killer Bees, both white guys. Special Delivery Jones, big black guy. But, yep, the ref pretended that he couldn't notice.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Anything about the SCU promo?
Other than them using bitches and assholes in the same promo, I'm glad that they're finally, acknowledging the thing that they said several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they've not really been on TV a whole lot to, for us to see them winning. The last time that I can remember them being on Dynamite, and maybe it's just because of my bad memory, but the last time I remember SCU having a match on Dynamite, and maybe it was the pay-per-view, I don't remember, but it was during that tag team battle royal, and somebody on commentary mentioned about, well, didn't they say the last time they lost a match? Well, that only applies to, regular tag team matches, not this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, nothing. And now all of a sudden, they're saying the thing again, which I'm glad they are. They are number one contenders, but go ahead and book the match for Double or Nothing.
Right. Instead, we end up, we might as well say it now, that they're going to have a, they always like them, a 4-way tag where the winner faces the Young Bucks on May 12th. And in that 4-way tag is SCU, Jurassic Express, the Acclaimed, and Varsity Blondes. So are we getting SCU versus the Bucks on May 12th instead of at Double or Nothing? I mean, SCU versus the Bucks should be at Double or Nothing, right?
Yes.
That's a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
So what are they doing having this tag team match?
There's already another big title match that is announced for May 12th, so I don't know if they're having May 12th be some kind of Blood and Guts Night 2?
Blood and Guts Backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
payback.
But the pay-per-view is on the 30th, so I mean, it's 3 weeks out. So you figure just do it at Double or Nothing. That's when you should have SCU versus the Bucks, because that's
right
when it matters. So, and now this is a 4-way. I don't think it's not like a battle royale or anything. So is this just a fatal 4-way or an elimination 4-way? They didn't really say. So I guess we will find out when it happens next week.
Right. And does that count as one of the matches that if SCU loses, they break up as a tag team?
Right.
Or because it's not a, one-on-one or technically a 2-on-2, that doesn't count?
Don't know. I guess we will find that out.
They're making up the, stipulations of their promise as they go.
A little bit. Sometimes, yeah. They really need to give us a little bit ahead of time. So anyways, next up, there was a Jade Cargill promo video. Basically, she said the same thing as last week. Managers are looking to sign her. She doesn't give a crap because they're not going to give her enough money, blah, blah, blah.
They are trying to take my money.
Isn't that what managers do? They take a cut to get you deals so you don't have to go out and do that yourself?
Yes.
Isn't the point of getting a manager so they can make you more money and they take a cut of it? Why would managers pay you?
They take care of the business side,
right?
So that you can focus on the other aspects,
right? So again, I don't care, and she doesn't understand the point of managers. So that's what I got out of this. Next up, we have Orange Cassidy versus Penta L0M. Penta is wearing a Shredder-inspired mask that you wanted him to wrestle in, but he did not. He took it off and had his kind of regular mask. There was an inset promo, and Alex says, Trent, last week we introduced you to our friend Mike. This week we're going to beat Orange Cassidy to a pulp. So Alex is so good as the mouthpiece for Penta. Still love it. Penta and Orange
I just love how everybody that cuts a promo against Orange Cassidy about a match makes reference to
The
either
fruit.
getting the juice, or gonna squeeze him. Pull. They always make orange references.
Yep.
I love it.
Penta and Orange Cassidy go back and forth with their gestures. Penta it keeps stopping Orange Cassidy from putting his hands in his pockets. Penta takes his glove off in the manner that he does. He tosses it out to Alex, who is standing on the apron, and in the motion of catching it, basically fell off the apron, but he still caught it, which was pretty funny. And then Orange Cassidy, he takes his glasses off, folds them, and then throws them at Trent. Trent puts his hand up. They hit his hand, but he doesn't catch them. They fall out of his hand and hit the ground. And he just freezes with his hand up in the same position where he missed it. And they just had a moment, and it was very funny.
Yes.
So they start
because he was acting like he caught the glasses.
Yeah, even though they're laying on the floor next to him in the camera shot that you could see.
Yes.
So we have some fun back and forth between the two of them to start it off. We have a hands in the pocket arm drag from Orange Cassidy. Penta
and Tony Schiavone acted like he'd never seen that before.
Well,
I know he has.
Has he? I wasn't 100% sure.
I don't know. I know Orange Cassidy's done the move before.
I know that.
I'm assuming on Dynamite.
Yeah, I think so. I think he did it. Actually, I think he did it in his match with Pac at the opening of the Pac match on Full Gear. So Tony was there for that. I think no. Tony was not there for that because he was calling a game. I think.
Okay. So maybe Tony hasn't seen that.
Maybe
one before,
he hasn't.
But...
I don't know. Anyways, so we have some fun back and forth between the two of them. Penta catches Orange Cassidy trying a dive and drops him face first on the apron. Super kick to the face when they're back in the ring. Penta and Trent exchange some words after their match from last week. Heat on Orange Cassidy through the commercial. Penta starts hitting kicks to the knee, stomps to the knee, hits a head kick in the corner. Orange Cassidy flips out of a whip into the corner finally, hits Penta into the turnbuckle, hits a cross body, then he hits a around the world DDT, or tries for one, and Penta turns that into a vertical suplex. They throw hands a bit. Penta hits a Made in Japan for a 2 count. Penta wants the arm breaker, and Orange Cassidy and him fight over straightening the arm. Orange Cassidy is trying to put the arm in his pocket, which is actually a really effective way to stop an arm bar, is if you can get your hand in the pocket, they can't pull your arm anymore. I mean, that's something you would do, like if you were in jiu-jitsu, you would hold on to your own gi so they couldn't rip your arm away. So I thought that was a pretty good spot. Pretty fun. They were fighting over that for a good 30, 45 seconds or so. They exchange some super kicks. Penta then ends up hitting 3 of them in a row. Penta hits a destroyer. Orange Cassidy has just a flash of strength, picks Penta up, hits a beach break, but Penta rolls the shoulder just enough for a 2 count. And both of them are basically doubled down at this point. Once they get to their feet, Penta hits a bunch of strikes, including a wicked running thrust kick to Orange Cassidy while he's sitting in the corner. Orange Cassidy flips out of the suplex, hits a stun dog millionaire, diving DDT, spinning DDT for a close 2 count. And then Alex grabs the mic. He is standing up on the stage extension, and he says, "If you thought what Penta said about Trent's mom was bad," and Orange Cassidy grabs Alex by the collar, pulls him into the ring, which makes him drop the mic. Trent retrieves the mic. As the ref is distracted trying to get Alex out of the ring, Trent hands Orange Cassidy the mic. Orange Cassidy hits the orange punch with the mic in his hand and gets the 3 count. Orange Cassidy pins Penta.
Yes, and this is not something that I expected to happen going into this match. I definitely figured that Alex would get involved here. But yeah, that coming back to bite Penta in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that this is like swerve number 2 that AEW gave us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The first one being the total annihilation of Hangman Page, and then Orange Cassidy beating Penta.
Yeah, I thought that was good. I liked it. I didn't expect it to happen, but how it played out, I thought it was good. That hey, it happens that the heels had something backfire on them. I'm not sure if Penta is going to get mad at Alex about this one or if they leave it be, but it was a nice callback because last week Alex hit Trent with the microphone. This week, Trent gets it to Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy uses the microphone in the other direction. So,
Orange Cassidy most likely will be the number 1 ranked wrestler in AEW next week because he was number 2 going in. Hangman lost. Cassidy won. So, unless there's something screwy that happens, Orange Cassidy should be number 1.
I mean, Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega, that match would be awesome.
Yeah. Like, Kenny Omega can literally put on a good match against a blow-up doll, a broom, and a 9-year-old girl.
That match was awesome against the 9-year-old girl. That was such a good match.
Yeah.
And Jay in the chat said AEW has been making the microphone the biggest weapon since Omega used it in December. It's the most devastating weapons in AEW. The microphone.
Yes.
All right. Tony Schiavone is backstage with Britt Baker with the rankings, and now Britt is sitting on top. Britt says not only now she's finally on top of the rankings, but she's been on top of the merch sales. She's the number 1 in star power, and now she's at the top of the rankings. And that was pretty much the gist of the promo. And she said,
but she also talked about the very well done rankings based on wins and losses, which is totally the complete opposite of what she said like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But the fact that like she believes it now, while obviously everybody else knows that she's lying through her teeth about what she thinks of the rankings.
Yep.
Yeah, good promo as always from Britt Baker, DMD.
Next up, we had I have an entire page written on this with no paragraph spacing. It was a 10-minute segment. There was a lot said.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, it was a 10 minutes. It went by fast. But a lot was said, and this is even like not word for word. This is still paraphrased, so I will try to further paraphrase as I go through. But this is the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle parlay. Both groups have their own security force come out. The Inner Circles came out on motorcycles, so it looked like they had the Hells Angels as their security squad, where Pinnacle just had some guys in black polo shirts. Tony,
local enhancement talent.
Tony is guarding the DMZ and says he announces basically what the match is going to be. It's going to be 2 rings. It's going to start off 1-on-1 for 5 minutes, and then every 2 minutes after that, there's going to be a new person joining the match, alternating teams until all 10 members have joined the match. And then from there, it's submission or surrender is the only way to win. He is going to do a coin toss to determine the man advantage. But right before he can toss the coin, Spears knocks the coin out of his hand, grabs the mic, and says that there will be no coin toss. The Pinnacle should have the advantage because they were lured into this match. He says he also has a message for the Inner Circle and that this is going to go bad for them. All of the Pinnacle are willing to bleed for each other and that this is a family, and he can't see the same looking across the ring over at the Inner Circle. He calls out Sammy, asking when the last time he even had a wrestling match. He says that Jericho is leading Sammy into deep water, and next week it's going to be Shawn Spears standing on Sammy's head while he drowns. Sammy grabs the mic and says, Spears...
Sammy's last match, by the way, according to Pro Fight DB, was Beach Break. Shawn Spears has only had 2 matches this year,
yep.
March 24th and April 9th.
Sammy grabs the mic, says, Spears, I don't believe you. Ever since you came to AEW, you've been a failure. You were a failure at the place you used to work as well. And next week, you're all going to fail. Sammy says that, you know what? You guys can have the advantage. Hell, I'll even start. He says, I don't even care who I fight. I'll start with the Popcorn Man if I have to. Then Cash grabs the mic. He addresses Santana Ortiz, saying, hey, don't bring this version of yourselves, because if you do, you're not gonna make it out. And he calls them soft, calls them Jericho's lapdogs. Dax takes the mic, says, I guarantee somebody's life is going to be shortened next week. I've already made peace with that with my wife and children. And he tells Santana and Ortiz, you guys have kids, but next week when you are leaving home to travel to Dynamite, be sure to hug them and kiss them and give them a message from Uncle Dax. Daddy ain't coming home. That was so good from Dax. I love that. Santana is mad, and Ortiz is like, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to piss you off. Don't fall into it. Santana looks at his watch, says 7 days, you'll be locked in the cage with us. Have you ever been locked up? Because we have. Next week, we're going to let our fists do the talking. MJF then addresses Jericho, says he wanted to tell Jericho, thank you, because without Jericho, there'd be no AEW. Says he was the top guy, he was the top draw, and he can't imagine the pressure Jericho feels, because if he doesn't hit a home run, he's taking food out of the mouths of everybody backstage. You put the entire company on the line in everything you do. We can see it in your eyes. You look exhausted, but you don't have to worry about that anymore, because next week I'm going to do the humane thing and take that heavy burden off of you and put it on myself and my family here. We're going to replace the Inner Circle. And when I'm standing over your lifeless body, I will once again say the words, thank you. Thank you for thank you. Your spot is mine. And then Jericho takes the mic and says, MJF, you're a self-righteous, self-gratifying little prick. Says, how dare you feel so entitled you can have somebody's spot just because you want it. Unlike that trust fund your parents gave you, you have to earn your spot. He says that when I was 25, I was curtain jerking at WCW, but he said he was proud of that time. But also at that time, I was headlining arenas in Japan and Mexico and in Germany, and says if you want a spot, then beating us at Blood and Guts is a good start. But that's not going to happen because we are Blood and Guts. He says that all of the guys in the he talks up all of the guys in the Inner Circle, says Jake Hager had his back when there were assassination threats directed towards him when they were in Abu Dhabi. Says Santana Ortiz, you call them lapdogs, they are wild animals. Says he brought Sammy into the Inner Circle. He handpicked Sammy. and MJF, you made him quit, and that's never going to happen again. And then he says, you're going to have to kill us to get us to surrender, or we're never going to submit, and you're going to have to kill us to get us to surrender. But when that doesn't happen, at the end of it, we're going to step on you like the pile of crap that you are, and after we wipe our feet on the concrete, we will be looking at the only spot you deserve. If 1969 was the summer of love, then the summer of 2021 is the summer of violence and pain for the Pinnacle, and next week, summer starts early for you. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I forget who it was tried to cut Jericho off in the middle of his... Yeah, and it looked like Tully was actually trying to get all of his guys to leave the ring at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's actually what was happening or what, but overall, really good promos from everybody. I am kind of curious how the match actually winds up ending.
Yeah, I'm curious how it goes.
Because
I think the most...
they say submission or surrender, which there's only one team that has somebody that can surrender for them. Because otherwise, like if you're tapping, that's submission. So if you're,
what's the difference?
Surrender would be throwing in the towel.
I guess, yeah.
Literally waving a white flag.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one team that has somebody that can throw in the towel for them.
Yeah, technically. So, yeah.
Unless somebody that is connected with Jericho shows up and, throws in the towel on their behalf.
True, I guess.
But I don't know who that would be.
Mike Tyson?
Ooh, possibly.
I don't see them bringing Mike Tyson back ago.
Me either.
Yeah.
Me, especially not for that.
Right.
But yeah, I could see. I don't want to say a screwy finish of, like Tully trying to climb into the ring and then dropping a towel, and then that being considered, he threw in the towel. But it's definitely going to be a brutal match.
Yeah. Solid promo all around. Check it out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Like I said, I wrote a page and that was still pared down, and I pared down a little bit more while going through it. So next segment, we have Nakazawa is sitting in the ring with a laptop and a headset. He is basically Kenny Omega's secretary at this point. Kingston comes out and he's like, I'm not doing this. I wanted Kenny Omega. He calls out Kenny Omega. Kenny comes out of the tunnel and he says, you think you get the champ just because you asked for the champ? No, that's not going to happen. You can deal with my goons. Nakazawa attacks Eddie from behind with the laptop, but Eddie just beats the crap out of Nakazawa, hits the back fist. Then he grabs a chair, threatens to Pillmanize Nakazawa's ankle, and if Kenny doesn't come down to the ring, Kenny says he knew what he signed up for. Go ahead. So he doesn't even care. He says, I got other goons. So he calls out Brandon Cutler. And then Brandon Cutler is thrown out of the tunnel and lands at Kenny's feet. And he is just like beat up and looking at Kenny. And Kenny says, oh, Christ, are you? And then right as he says that, from behind, Moxley attacks Omega. He drags him down to the ring. He chokes him out with a rear naked choke. Eddie puts the chair on Kenny's leg, and Dawn runs out of the tunnel, and he tells them to stop. And Eddie says, you know what? if you don't want Kenny's ankle broken, then we want something. Moxley says that, yeah, we want a tag match between Kenny and that little dipshit over there with the laptop. And Dawn eventually has to agree. And then Eddie and Moxley make their exit with Dawn rescuing Kenny.
I loved how Don Callis was trying to sort of be weaselly about it instead of just agreeing. He's like, I'll see what I can do. No, don't see what you can do. Give us the thing or his ankle gets broken.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately, like, he realized, oh crap, they're serious. Okay, you've got it.
Yeah, I thought this
was... next week, Blood and Guts. I might actually be more excited for this match than the actual Blood and Guts match.
Do you actually, now that we got to this segment, that actually reminded me. Do you think what actually happens at Double or Nothing for the tag team championship, it's Mox and Kingston versus the Young Bucks?
Ooh.
Because I heard this I heard this as a possible idea.
I don't know.
And okay, why wouldn't Moxley and Kingston want to go against the people that are holding gold in the Elite, and why would they want Kenny and Nakazawa when they could have the Young Bucks gold? So maybe this is their way to get deeper, their hooks deeper into the Elite to try to get try to be a pain in their butt. And maybe that's where we go. Maybe it doesn't happen at Double or Nothing, but we might be heading towards Moxley and Kingston versus the Bucks. And that actually could be an interesting way to go. And I would not be down on or not be against Moxley and Kingston taking the titles off of the Young Bucks for a while.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we do find out next week it is going to be Moxley and Kingston versus Nakazawa and Kenny Omega. So that is going to be an interesting one. Then we have, during the commercial break, we have Sammy doing his card thing. He basically is talking about he's going to be the first in the cage, and he's going to be the first with the Pinnacle's blood on his hands. So Sammy back with the cards once again.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone is with Taz backstage. Taz says, since Brian Cage beat Hangman, that makes Team Taz number one now. And that message that he sent to Christian Cage, and then Christian Cage steps in, and Taz says, here's the deal. Last week, Hobbs beat your ass pillar to post. He made one little mistake and you capitalized, but now you're going to have to deal with somebody else from Team Taz. Christian cuts him off and says, Taz, you used to be the man. You talk big and back it up. You used to submit guys and make it look easy. But now, present day, you may talk a big game, but backing it up, not so much. So what do? You surround yourself with the biggest and best prospects in AEW, and when they find success that everybody knows they're going to find, you'll be right there basking in those accolades like you had done it yourself, just to feed your damn ego. But then you see a guy like me, I came back after 7 years, you wish you could do what I did, and you want to leech off me, but I'm not going to let that happen. I don't believe in win or lose. I believe in win or learn. And last week, Hobbs learned a lesson. And if Ricky Starks steps in the ring with me, then he's going to learn one too. And hopefully before it's too late, they'll all learn that they'll be better off without you. Interesting promo here from Christian Cage. little heelish for a little bit here.
A little bit, but sometimes you've got to sort of try to out heel the heel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's already been, some dissension among the ranks in Team Taz. Just going to be interesting to see how things actually wind up going. Like, is it going to continue to be this slow burn, or will something actually wind up happening?
Yeah, I have no idea where they're going with this at the moment.
Nor I.
So, I guess we'll see. We are going to have Ricky Starks versus Christian Cage. I assume that is going to be his next match, which that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Maybe they'll throw it on one of the darks and promote it, or maybe it's on Dynamite.
I assume
there was actually a good match on Dark Elevation Monday that I'm surprised wasn't on a Dynamite. The Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, versus Chuck.
Yeah.
Actually, the Orange Cassidy match was really fun, too. I forgot who he faced, though. I should know, but it was good either way. All right, moving on. We have Penelope Ford versus Kris Statlander. Statlander is accompanied by Orange Cassidy and came out to Orange Cassidy's theme music instead of her own. Last week she came out to her own, but this week she did not. But, it is what it is. Penelope Ford, of course, Kip Sabian came out with Penelope, so Kip Sabian is in the building, and so is Miro, so that will be interesting what happens with that. Kris Statlander and Penelope Ford, they just, as soon as the bell rings, they run at each other and start throwing hands. They are just striking all over the place. Ford misses a double knee drop onto the apron. Statlander hits a forearm, throws Ford back into the ring. Kip distracts Statlander for a second. Ford drops Statlander on the apron, then hits the double knee drop that she had missed earlier. Penelope Ford actually takes the offense. They get the heat on Statlander in the commercial, and then they cut the picture and get a full-size commercial. So we don't know what happens, but as soon as they come back, they are throwing hands out of the break, and then Statlander hits a lariat trip, hits a running knee to the face, blue thunderbomb for a 2 count. Ford comes back, hits a top rope, hits a diving blockbuster off the top rope. Statlander hits a roundhouse kick and the solar eclipse for a 2. Statlander hits a few forearms, but then gets dropped by Ford with a back kick for a 2 count. Ford then goes for a handspring into the ropes, but as she's upside down, Kris Statlander just grabs her while she's upside down and hits her with the Big Bang Theory, and she gets the 3 count. I thought this match was fine. Some people didn't like it. I mean, the blockbuster wasn't as crisp as it could be, but I thought it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I am actually a little surprised that they didn't have Miro come out during the match.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they did that segment a little bit later, I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. So yeah, this match was fine. It was just another win for Kris Statlander, just getting her reestablished after coming back from the ACL surgery. So yeah, I thought this was fine. Nothing big happened. There was Orange Cassidy prevented Kip Sabian from getting involved and stopping Kris Statlander from hitting the Big Bang Theory, and that was about it.
Yeah, and apparently some people were upset about Kris Statlander booping Penelope's nose when she faked like she was doing the suicide dive and then just like slid out of the ring and booped Penelope.
Why? Because Penelope had moved out of the way and put her and like turned her head. So she thought that Kris Statlander was going to crash and burn, but Kris Statlander stopped herself and just got out of the ring. And then as soon as Penelope turned around, that's what she did. Okay, that's fine. I thought that's totally within character of Kris Statlander.
Right. Like, that's what she does. She boops people's nose.
Yeah. Nice little video package about 10 talking about the importance of the TNT title to the Dark Order and himself as it represents Brody. I thought this was good. It was like 45 seconds to show a little bit of interest and actually be like, oh, it'd be actually kind of cool if 10 won this match and brought the title back to the Dark Order because of the history it holds with the Dark Order and Brody Lee.
Yeah. It seems a little bit of AEW rewriting history to me of 10 being handpicked to be the guy in Dark Order. But other than that, it was a really good video package. And it makes me think that, like, he really wants to win the title, and here's why. But it just seems to be one of the few times where I feel like I'm being lied to by the announcers.
Well, why would they?
Where they kept saying that, Preston Vance was handpicked by Brody for this opportunity.
I'll have to.
It's like, that's not exactly what happened.
I can't really remember how it happened. I think Preston Vance applied for the Dark Order. They were showing the back of him at a computer filling out the Dark Order thing, and there was like newspaper clippings of his football career. Like he had a knee injury, and that was like the end of his career. That's basically what the newspaper clipping said and whatnot. But then Brody Lee did.
Brody did bring him into the Dark Order, but Brody didn't bring him in to be the TNT champion.
Right. No,
and
not
that's what they were trying to say.
Okay. I thought it was more handpicked to bring him in the Dark Order, not handpick him for the title. But
see, the way I was either hearing or interpreting what they were saying was that Preston Vance was handpicked to be the TNT champion within the Dark Order.
Got it. I didn't take it that way, so I can't argue.
So maybe it's just my interpretation of what was being said, but like I kind of felt like I was being lied to.
Okay, maybe the wording was wrong, or maybe there's just poor choice of phrasing. All right. Next up, we had the Nightmare Family versus the Factory, and it looks like the Factory have stolen the Nightmare Factory's bus as they came riding in on it.
The Nightmare Family's bus.
Did I say Nightmare Factory?
If it was the Nightmare Factory's bus, then like they can't steal their own bus.
Right. They stole the Nightmare Family bus, so they stole Cody's bus
with Pharaoh on the side of it, and Cody's logo all over the place.
Yep.
Like when the bus first started coming up, I'm thinking, oh, all right, so the Nightmare Family is rolling up in the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the Nightmare Family.
It was not. It was QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, and Anthony Ogogo. And so they make their way over to the ring from the parking lot. The Nightmare Family comes out. Huge brawl breaks loose as soon as the Nightmare Family comes out. And they're just brawling all over the place on the outside. And Billy has his midsection taped up from the shot from Ogogo last week, so selling that further. When things finally get started and we end up with Billy Gunn and Nick in the ring, starting off the match as the Legal Men. Dustin gets a tag in, and he and Comoroto, they just collide a bunch of times, and Dustin just cannot take Comoroto down until Dustin is the one who ends up getting knocked down. QT tagged in. He fights
Dustin with the old face paint.
Yes. Not the Gator style face paint from last week.
Yeah, I was hoping that was like a new style of face paint where he'd have the lower half of the face painted, but nope, he's back to I forget if it's the right or left, but
yeah,
half of the face.
Yep, QT tags in, fights with Dustin on the floor, gives him a suplex on the floor. The Factory get the heat on Dustin. Solo got a close 2 count after hitting Dustin with an exploder. I think this was during the commercial, I'm not really sure. QT hit a drop kick and gets a 2 count after he got tagged in. Lee gets a hot tag and he just takes out everybody. Hits a running chop into the corner, blue thunderbomb on Solo. Comoroto has to come in to break up that pin. Lee then hits a corkscrew dive to the outside onto QT and Comoroto while the ref is distracted, though, with the legal man of Solo, who is still in the ring. Agogo punches Lee Johnson in the gut and then punches Billy in the stomach as well. And Lee gets thrown back into the ring. QT tags himself in and pins Lee Johnson. So he, like the good old heel leader he is, he doesn't do the work, but he takes the credit for it.
Yep. And it seems like they're really putting over that gut punch.
Yeah. That's such a stupid move. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that as like a finisher.
Just on the one hand, I can see why somebody might not like it, but at the same time, if somebody were legitimately punching people in the gut like that, if the hand is, angled the right way, like you can seriously damage somebody's spleen or liver. You could cause like legit internal injuries with that punch.
You can, but it's like ridiculously rare in legit fights like MMA or boxing. It's ridiculously rare that a shot like that actually stops a fight.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but he's also going bare fist instead of having a glove on that would soften the blow.
True. Post match is kind of when the action happens. Post match, Comoroto hits Dustin with the cowbell that was on the bull rope that Dustin brought with him, and then QT stays behind as the rest of the Factory were leaving down the tunnel. He's standing up on the stage, kind of gloating, and Austin and Colton Gunn come out and they attack QT. And QT starts to then Solo and Comoroto come out they realize what was going on. They come back out and fight. QT makes his way back towards the bus as everybody else is fighting back in the ring. When QT gets to the bus, you can see Cody through the window, but QT was walking backwards towards the bus, so he didn't see this, and he turns around and the window is like a foot above his head, so he can't actually see that Cody's there. As soon as he opens the door, Cody attacks out of the door, and they fight in front of the bus, and then QT tries to escape, going to corner himself on top of the bus.
If I'm in a fight near a bus and I'm trying to run away, I don't climb on top of the bus.
Right, where there is no escape.
I'm also, and I think this was a tape show, so it was, fairly easy for them to have the massive crowd of people around the bus watching everything happening. But, like there's a sizable crowd around watching this happen, which, if it were live, it would take them a little bit longer to all run outside to see things happening.
Right. Unless it was, In the current era, yes. If it was like full arena type of deal, it'd probably be pretty easy. But yeah. Anyways, they fight they get up on top of the bus. Cody follows. Aubrey Edwards follows too, and just trying to get them to stop.
Yeah.
But she's not physically getting involved. She's just yelling at them like, "Knock it off,"
which is what refs normally do.
Yeah. So to be fair, that was fine. Cody puts on a figure four on top of the bus, and QT Marshall's tapping furiously, but it's like, okay, you're not in a match, so he's not going to do anything. He eventually lets it go, and Cody stands up there and poses and screams,
and commentary put that over as well, because remember when they had the exhibition match a few weeks ago, where Cody told QT, like, I'm not going to hurt you. We're friends, not going to hurt you. But then he's got the figure four on, and he's just holding it.
Yep. So, I mean, this was fine. A little kind of anticlimactic to get on top of a bus to do that. I mean,
yeah,
it was kind of like the bus almost served no purpose in this story. It was just there to try to look.
Prop.
Yeah, it was a prop to try to look cool, but in the end, it kind of fell flat.
You're having a parking lot brawl. Let's give the guys something to climb on top of so that we can get a better camera angle, and then Cody gets to pose on top of his bus.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. It just didn't work. I don't think it wasn't as good as oh crap. What was his name?
It's not as good as the parking lot brawl, like the actual parking lot brawl match where Sue was sitting in the van.
It was not as good as Crash and Bob Holly fighting on top of the 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
That was a classic one. Do you remember that match?
Not off the top of my head, no.
It was really funny because a little tangent here. So they were in a street fight, cousin against cousin, and they ended up fighting up on top of an 18-wheeler, and it was actually really funny because the commentary covered it pretty well too. One of them gave the other a backdrop on top of the 18-wheeler, and it audibly came across on the camera with the person who did the backdrop said, "Are you okay?" And commentary is like, "Look at that. They're cousins fighting, but they're still checking on each other to make sure that they're okay." Pretty funny. So it was one of those, you're not supposed to hear it, but commentary, I covered that up. It was pretty funny. It just stood out to me. I remember that match. All right. Anyway.
It was not as bad as the King of the Road match that Dustin Rhodes had against Blacktop Bully.
I don't know that match, so.
Oh, it was WCW Uncensored 95, where they're in a like a flatbed 18-wheeler with a bunch of bales of hay, and there's like fencing around the side, and there's a guy driving the 18-wheeler down the road in like rural Georgia.
That's funny.
Yeah. And because, he's driving and he's got to go around corners, they can't really do a whole lot of moves, and they just keep falling over.
That's funny. In the chat, Jay says, "I was waiting for Cody to jump." Yeah, actually, I was waiting for Cody to throw QT off the bus because you had that crowd of wrestlers. I figured that's where they were going. He was going to throw him down on the ground under the crowd of wrestlers, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. I thought that would happen as well. If it was Jeff Hardy, he definitely would have jumped for no reason other than it's a tall thing and it's Jeff Hardy.
Davis says, "Dumb match, in my opinion. Good old WCW." And Jay says, Cody would take that bump just to get the glory. All right. They announced next week it's going to be QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes. We're going to have Kenny and Nakazawa versus Moxley and Kingston. Of course, we're going to have the Blood and Guts match. We're going to have Britt Baker in action and a tag team 4-way. Winner faces the Bucks for the tag team champions on May 12th. And that match is going to have SCU, Jurassic Express, The Acclaimed, and Varsity Blondes. And then the huge match announcement. Jon Moxley will be defending on Dynamite his IWGP US Heavyweight Championship against Yuji Nagata.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
When I saw that, I was like, holy crap. They're having the IWGP title on AEW.
Yes.
I'm wondering, because Forbidden Door and everything, will Finjuice wind up having a match on AEW for the Impact titles at some point?
I don't know. That could be interesting. I don't know how deep they are going to get in with Impact just because they have US. They have a presence in the US. They didn't do crap about the match of Omega and Rich Swann. They didn't even mention it on Dynamite proper.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm just thinking because Finjuice, New Japan talents that have the Impact tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually very surprised that they retained their titles at whatever the pay-per-view was this past weekend where they fought the Good Brothers. Like, I totally thought, the Good Brothers will take the titles back, and the Elite will have all the gold.
Davis,
but I'm wondering, will Moxley and Kingston maybe challenge for the Impact tag titles?
Or what about title for title Bucks versus Finjuice?
Ooh, yes.
At Double or Nothing, Davis says, but I think it's too. There's not enough time to type it for Double or Nothing. It could be at All Out though. I wouldn't put that and then buy it for All Out. So.
Yeah, or some name show over the summer. They can't call it Bash at the Beach. They've already used Beach Break this year, but it could be
Summer of Violence and Pain.
Know. Yeah.
All right. Moving on here. We have backstage. Kip Sabian is being followed by a camera, and he's like, "Why are you following me? Nothing's gonna happen." I don't know what everybody's worried about. And the camera follows him into a locker room where Miro is, and he gets in there, and Miro beats the shit out of Kip Sabian. He's talking about, why were you avoiding me? He talks about he's yelling about it's his destiny, that no one can keep him from his destiny, and says it's time to pay your dues. And Miro then slams Kip Sabian's arm in the door, and Kip Sabian is just sitting on the ground against the door. And then Miro comes in and hugs his head and says, "It's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you." He gets up and leaves and then says, "Good talk." And leaves Kip Sabian in a blubbering heap. I felt bad for Kip Sabian after this.
So did I. But, at the same time, from Miro's perspective, Kip had it coming.
Yeah, but Miro is psycho out of this. He beat the crap out of him, and then he's hugging him, saying, I forgive you. And then he walks away and says, "Good talk."
Good talk. Yeah.
So I like Psycho Miro. Psycho Miro gets a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah. Well, what is Miro's record in AEW right now?
Singles, I think he's undefeated.
Yeah, I don't think he's had a ton of matches.
No, I'd say without looking, he's probably singles 4 or 5-0.
I'm looking right now. He's 3-0 in singles, 3-1 in tag for 2021, and a career record of 10-1.
So there you go, undefeated in singles this year. So, actually undefeated singles
total.
Period, because he's only had one loss and it's been in a tag. So yep. So we'll see. I'm guessing. I think that it'd be most likely if he takes the title off of Darby Allin. I mean, that would kind of make sense.
Ooh, yeah, I would love to see that match.
Yep. All right, we move on to the.
Or should we call it murder?
Yeah, it could be. We move on to the final match of the evening, and this is for the TNT Championship. 10 Preston Vance versus Darby Allin. Darby just tries to smother 10. It just kind of getting on top of him, trying to use headlocks and all that fun stuff. 10 uses his power, though, and when Darby goes for a crossbody off the top, 10 just shoulder blocked him out of the air. 10 keeps the pressure on in the commercial. He hits a vertical suplex, belly to back suplex, and just manhandles Darby. Pump kick to the face, massive spine buster, power bomb for a 2 count. Darby finally hits a flip over stunner. He puts on the Fujiwara armbar. 10 powers out, they roll. Darby regains the armbar. 10 gets to the ropes, and after the break, he rolls to the outside. Darby follows. Darby gets thrown into the barricade a few times. Darby then goes up to the top rope. He does a cannonball dive off the top onto 10 and 5, who had come over to check on 10. Dark Order then go to check on their guy, but Sting is being a dick once again and just walks down Dark Order and basically backs them away. And while he's being an asshole, behind his back, Ethan Page runs in, attacks Darby Allin, runs him into the ring post, and throws him back into the ring. So Sting took his eye off the ball there and made a mountain out of a molehill once again when the Dark Order weren't even doing anything. They were just checking on their guy. It's not like they were trying to attack Darby or anything. In his distraction, in his self-induced distraction, Ethan Page comes in and attacks Darby. 10 is acting like he doesn't want to take advantage of the situation, but the Dark Order's like, just go. I mean, it's the match, just go. He hits a slingshot German suplex. Darby goes for a springboard coffin drop. 10 catches him straight into the full Nelson, and this has actually been 10's submission. He has been submitting people with the full Nelson, but Darby then pushes himself off the turnbuckle, kicks himself away with the turnbuckle, and he falls on top of 10, and he gets the pin in that position. I do have to say it was a stupid finish, and 10's shoulder was not even close to being on the mat.
Yeah, 10's shoulder was as far off of the mat as Penta's was during the count that got broken up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And I forget early on what Darby did to 10's ear, where like he kept fidgeting with the side of his mask by his one ear for a lot of the match. There was another spot where Darby tries ripping Ten's mask. I think he actually did rip a little bit of the eye hole and raked the eyes. So, like, definitely some heelish tactics from Darby and Sting both.
Yeah. So, yeah, very strange how Darby and Sting have had some some heel tendencies as of late. I'm not sure if they're just pushing it a little bit, and we're not going to get anything out. It's not going to come to anything like a heel turn or anything like that. But yeah, just interesting that it worked out that way.
Yeah. So again, Darby now has had as many successful title defenses as Cody did. 10 is the other one in the top 5 of the rankings that lost this week. So Hangman Page, I'm guessing, will drop down to probably 4th or 5th in the rankings.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy should move up to number 1. That would make Mox 2, and then Pac most likely number 3.
So I thought this was a decent match, though it is getting a little repetitive with some of these Darby Allin matches where he just gets the crap beat out of him and then he just pulls a win out of his ass at the end.
Yeah,
it's
definitely formulaic.
Yeah, like 3 out of the last 4 matches of Darby Allin's has been that formula. He just gets the pin, pulls it out of his ass, but he got beat up for 90% of the match.
Yeah. And I actually was kind of thinking that Hangman would pull a Darby where, like he was getting beat up by Cage during that first match. It was like, oh, all right. He got lucky, pushed Cage into the ring post, hit the moonsault. He'll hit the buckshot lariat, pull it out.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. But I'm really interested to see where this whole Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky versus Sting and Darby thing that might also maybe include Lance Archer.
Yeah. So post-match, 10 and Darby Allin, Darby helps 10 to his feet. They shake hands. Darby snags the Brody armband off of 10 and holds it up. Then they hug. And then Scorpio Sky attacks Sting from behind, gives him a chop block to the knee. Ethan Page joins, and the two of them beat up Darby and Sting. Lance Archer runs out, and Scorpio Sky and Page go running. 10 jumps into the ring as well, just to keep them away, and that is how they end up going off the air with Sting and Darby laid out, and 10 and Lance standing in the ring with Ethan and Sky outside of the ring.
Yeah, like this whole thing, it's weird, but at the same time, I'm really curious to see what's happening. It's not weird in a, oh my God, stop it, I'm tired of this sort of way.
Yeah, this is a little bit better. I still don't want to see Sting every single week. He has not missed a week yet, and I could do without that.
But yeah, I could do without Sting every week, and especially during Darby matches when somebody goes to check on their guy and Sting backs them down and gets into unnecessary confrontations.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Anything else about the show that you want to talk about?
No. Although I do think that at some point we need a Darby Joey Janela match, and just let them like jump off of tall things and use as many thumbtacks and skateboards and Legos as they want.
Yeah, they haven't had a one-on-one match, have they?
Not that I know of.
They were both in the Cracker Barrel Classic or whatever they called it. But I think that's the only match that they've been in. But that was with Jimmy Havoc. I think it was a 3-way. Can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-way.
Yeah, I'll do a quick search and see what I can find.
While we're talking about that, yes, Jay said yes, it was. Last night the ratings came in this afternoon, and last night's show was down almost 20%. It was 1.1 million viewers last week. It dropped to 889,000 this week. And dropped to 10th on the cable charts with a 0.33, which is down 10% from last week. But what was going on was a presidential address that took up 7 of the top 10 spots on cable last night.
Oh, wow.
News tends to destroy AEW, or real world stuff tends to bite into AEW's audience more than other shows. So that makes sense. I mean, so that's kind of the anomaly from this week. So I think you can probably throw this week out when you're going up against the president doing a speech. You're probably not going to make out that great. So it is. I'm curious what the quarterlies look like, because the speech I don't think started until 9, so it was halfway through the show. So I'm curious how that if the front was way up versus at 9 o'clock when the speech. I didn't even know the speech was happening, but I don't follow national crap, so.
I vaguely recall that was happening.
Yeah.
And Darby and Joey Janela actually had a singles match back in February for the TNT title.
Did they? I totally forgot that match.
So did I. It was taped on February 4th, so it would have aired on the 10th, the week after Beach Break.
Oh, okay.
I totally forgot that it happened.
I did too, but I mean, that's kind of been Darby Allin's title reign up until now.
Darby Allin.
Jay says,
I totally forgot that happened.
Jay says she doesn't even remember it either. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it was what it was. But 889,000 viewers, down from the 1.1 million. But again, can probably throw this week out. Once we'll find out what next week does, especially with the big show. I mean, Blood and Guts. I mean, they've been pimping it for a few weeks now, and now they're unopposed, and hopefully there'll be nothing huge against them, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, and this is something you don't necessarily need to look into right now. Do the taped shows tend to already have like a 5 or 10% decline from the live?
Let's see. No, because that 1.2 million was a tape show.
Okay.
And last week was live, and then let's see. If we go backwards, we had live 688, taped 700, live 757, live 768. Taped 768. So actually the live, it goes back and forth, because right here we have a taped 934 and a live 831. So yeah. So it goes back and forth. So really the live versus taped really doesn't seem to affect the ratings at all.
Yeah. So probably just people were watching the news.
Yeah. I mean, they do really good at not even letting spoilers out, because the tape shows are closed sets. So yeah. So you don't even get like those leaked out anyways. So
yeah. And you know, with this being a taped show, and Preston Vance being one of -1's favorite wrestlers, I'm actually a little surprised they didn't have -1 on this show.
Yeah, I've been surprised a couple times, but you know, they do tape on a Thursday night, It's obviously a school night. I don't know what their school situation is. I'm guessing they're back in person. They're in Florida, so it is a school night. So they can only do so much with with a kid who is 9 years old.
True.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss about AEW before we wrap it up here, or anything else you want to discuss?
Negative.
Anything else you want to discuss?
Going in for surgery next Thursday. So hopefully everything runs smooth with that. Should be in the hospital. They say the average is 5 days. Hopefully I'm out sooner than that, but not really sure.
Have you had both of your COVID vaccines?
Yes, I have.
All right. So at least you're probably not going to get hospital-induced COVID.
I've also had about 24 COVID tests over the last year.
Yeah, I've had quite a few of them as well, but now I don't have to do them because I have the vaccine.
Oh, I'm in school. I still have to do them.
Oh, that's funny.
Plus, I'll have to have one next week before the surgery.
Yeah. Are you still doing your fundraiser, or is that?
Yes. Still doing the fundraiser, darrylwperry.com/CLF.
The link for that is in the show notes and the description as well if you're watching this on any of the platforms, so you can follow
Looking to raise about $200 more for the Concussion Legacy Foundation.
All right, awesome. So go check that out. Our co-host Dave Colarusso gave a sizable donation, so that is his challenge to anybody to match him. So
yes,
you can go check that out. So thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Thanks for the people in the chat room, Jay and Davis, who were in at least chatting. Those are the ones who were actually saying stuff. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, you can send those to eric@thatswrestling.com. If you're listening to the podcast, head over to YouTube or Twitch, and you can check us out when we do these shows live. We will probably, I am not sure on what the New Japan schedule is like. I think the show's next week. I am just not looking at the schedule right now. I know that there are shows, so I think we will be back with Trey sometime next. Well, Trey will be doing AEW next week because Darryl will be in the hospital, so he won't be there. But then,
as he called it, not war games.
Not war games. So he will be on the show next week, and then he just finished moving as well, so now we can get him back for some New Japan stuff, and New Japan's doing a bunch of shows, so be sure to follow there and follow us on Twitter @thatswrestling1, and we'll post when we're going live and whatnot. May 3rd is the next New Japan, according to Jay. Thanks for throwing that in there. She's a big New Japan fan, and does the crazy things of getting up super early to watch the shows. I don't know why she does that, but she does. Hang out with us.
Looks like there's also Road 2.
Yes, there's some Road 2s, but nothing much is happening on those. So
yeah, and then LA Dojo Showcase on Friday, and then Wrestle Dontaku on Monday.
Yep. So we'll be covering those sometimes next week. Yeah, come hang out with our Discord. Link is in the show notes. All that fun stuff. You can find all the information down in the show notes. So, thanks to everybody for watching That's Wrestling this week. My name is Eric LaRoche, and for Darryl W. Perry, thank you for watching. We will see you guys later. See ya.